everybody. Welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 203. All right. More update on this job journey. You know what? I really enjoy sharing this experience with you all just because I feel like, there aren't enough conversations. There isn't enough transparency around job hunting and, being just in the thick of it and the ups and downs from it because, I know I'm not alone, right? I know there are plenty of people out here who left their job without the security of another job. And then that's something else I want to talk about. I think, though, we like to think that we have security, right? Like, we like to assume that we're secure where we are, specifically in our jobs. And that is just not true. It's a facade that many of us have been living in because we think, oh, well, if I'm doing my job well, if I show up, if I'm on time, if I'm buddy with the boss, then my job is secured. I won't get laid off. I won't get suddenly fired. My job is secured. And that's the complete false narrative. Like, that's not true at all, because you have so many examples of different people suddenly feeling secure, not suddenly, but initially feeling secure within their jobs, and then suddenly, boom, something happens and now they're without a job. It may be under new management, right? New management may come in and just shake things up, and now you have to abide by different principles, and maybe the boss didn't like your position in the first place, didn't really see you as valuable, considering it's a new management, right? Or maybe you're just suddenly laid off. Like, there's so many instances in which we feel that we are secure in our job and, I don't have to worry about any of that. And, people like that may feel superior to someone like me who decided to take this big ass risk when everything is risky, right? Everything is risky. And it's like sometimes we put all our eggs into one basket and we don't realize that the basket could fall apart. The basket could have a big gaping hole and boom, everything that you thought was secure is not. And now you're having to be put in a situation that is just anxiety inducing. Your self-esteem is being tested. Your faith is being tested. And you're having to pull from the depths of your soul to push through. So I'm just saying this to say, I haven't had necessarily anyone come to me and, lecture me down, but I feel I could hear some of y'all. It's like, no, I mean, aside from a particular family member who lectured me and made me feel like crap, and assumptions that I'm making that other people are saying too, but aside from that direct exchange from that family member, I feel like more often than not, there are people quickly judging other people's work choices. And regardless if you have been with a company for 7 years, or 10 years, and you've grown with the company, their boss, you feel like you're just really acclimated and it's a family. Oh, it's a work family. Family fucked my husband. Okay? Faith fucked my husband. So I say all that to say, don't trust anybody. No, anyway, I'm just having these conversations because I think it's important for us to really just discuss the ups and the downs when it comes to this job hunting journey. And prior to me having this experience right now, when I was in a previous experience years ago of me getting a new job, it wasn't as long as it is now. Like, I didn't have this experience until now that I'm having this experience. And I remember right before I got my last job, I was in between the initial job that I took to getting me here to Houston. Remember, I said in a previous podcast episode that I wanted to secure a job first before moving to Houston. And thankfully, I was able to secure that job. But that job was a crock of shit. It was a crock of shit, and I just could not do it. I couldn't. And I lasted there for 11 weeks. It ended because just a plethora of reasons, but ultimately I remember the conversation with that boss, and she was asking me how am I liking it here? And I feel like she could kind of sense that I was upset. And it's not like I came in with an attitude or anything, but I don't know if I could kind of remember exactly, but regardless, in that conversation, I was dead ass. Don't ask me a straight up question because I'm a dead ass give you an answer. I don't care. So I said, I'm not happy. I said, I'm not happy here. What I thought was going to be the situation isn't. And what I mean by that is the initial just explanation and description of the role was not at all what I was experiencing in live time. And she basically hoodwinked me, if you really want to label it like that, because she made me believe that my classroom experience and teaching and the traditional way of doing so was needed and was what she found to be valuable and necessary for her school. So I was excited because, okay, well, great. I could bring forth this area of expertise that I have and push it into this model that I'm walking into that is new. And yet every time I will push that area of expertise of mine, I was then hit with consistent resistance. And every time I would speak up or say this or say that, I was just always put down. And I remember just stuttering more. I remember just feeling so literally uncomfortable at this workplace. And what's interesting about that workplace was being that it was at this industrial building, if that makes sense. It was near the railroad tracks, and it was in this shared building space. Anyway, the company so initially started off as this, before it became a school, it was just this home schooling situation. And then the boss, the principal, I guess her role is, she decided to make it into a school. And the population of students was no more than 20 students. And they all come from various grade levels. And they're learning at this site, at this location where I was working, at different levels. They're learning within one space, but they're on their computers individually learning at different paces. And look, maybe she was well before the time when that was seen as acceptable, because this was before the pandemic, and I just couldn't understand why are you teaching like this? What's going on? But either way, she was exclaiming so much that this was an effective way of students learning. Okay, fine. But don't tell me that you want my traditional background in place to incorporate into the system that you already have. And yet when I do so, you are shitting on it every time. So anyway, every time I will, speak up, try to enforce this or enforce that, I was always pushed back. Always resisted. And it was just an uncomfortable experience. And being that the space was how it was, she had a camera, a surveillance camera in every corner of the space, literally. And it really felt like Big Brother. you guys are familiar with Big Brother. So there's an actual show called Big Brother that I used to watch. I haven't watched in a season or two. But it's a reality show on CBS hosted by Julie Chen Moonves, because she said her husband's last name now because she's trying to be on his anyway. The show is called Big Brother, and it's basically called that because the term Big Brother indicates that someone is watching, right? A big brother, it could be a big sister, of course, a big aunt, but a big brother is watching your every move. You can't hide from Big Brother. You're being watched. And that's what that workplace experience was like. Everyone was being watched. And it was so uncomfortable. And you know what was weird too? The principal, she would sit in her clear ass office and watch the cameras. She'll watch the cameras in her monitor screen, and you'll see her watching everyone in each separate room. It was the weirdest thing ever. And I remember feeling so uncomfortable, so much so that I called my mom at the time right before coming, or I came in, but I was already, I was early and no one was there yet. And I was just calling my mom. I was like, I was crying on the phone, I remember. And I was crying because I was like, yo, I am so unhappy. This is so incredibly uncomfortable. I feel just discouraged every time I'm here. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. And I think, anyway, the reason why I speak so much about why happiness is a pursuit for us to continue to pursue is I can't operate in a space where I am feeling so low vibrational. I can't operate in a space where I'm feeling discouraged every time I feel unheard. Not only, it's not like a feeling in my head, I just feel it. No. I was unheard at that time. I was ignored. I was discouraged. It was just a constant beat down. And it was this mental warfare that I was experiencing. So those 11 weeks, that was all I could have done at that workplace. And at that point in the conversation with her, when she asked me, started off with how are you feeling? How are you liking this role? And I was like, I'm unhappy, the X, Y, and Z, And I was just very honest and transparent. She wanted to, So the conversation started because she was mad at something that I did. What did I do? I think I don't remember what I did. I mean, I could if I wanted to remember right now, but at this point I can't remember. But she wanted to have a conversation with me because there are some things. She started off kind of aggressive. So she would G-chat me, and G-chat is Google. So Google chat me literally on Google while I'm in the same level, the floor level, and she's in her clear ass, translucent ass office space. And she's typing aggressively on the keys while I'm just a foot over. It was the weirdest time ever. And I'm getting these G-chat notifications. I see that she's G-chatting this, G-chatting that. And I'm like, what the fuck? So she said, I know why she started the conversation. So I was, I guess I wasn't supposed to do this, but I was, what's the actual term? Is it loitering? No, recruiting. I don't know. I think it's probably recruiting. But basically, I was offering tutoring services to these students outside of work. And I was doing that because in my mind, I already planned, look, I'm gonna already start applying elsewhere and let me at least make connections and see, what could be done. Especially since I was getting such a great rapport with so many of the students. They really liked me, and they would talk shit about this principal because they always felt like they were being watched, and they hated that, and they just hated how she was just this weird ass, weird. She had this weird body where she will angle her neck but not move the rest of her body, and she'll tilt her head in a way that was, oh, what are you doing? Like, she'll do that stupid ass voice. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm so happy that's over. But anyway, so she caught wind because my colleague, I don't want to call it a coworker, I was talking to her. I think I just mentioned it briefly. And of course, she went to the boss, ratted me out. And I feel like she did that on purpose, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway, so the boss found out. And so she G-chatted me. The boss G-chatted me and was like, there are some things that came to my attention and I'm completely upset about, and we need to have a meeting because there are some things that we need to discuss. And I got on the defense mode, like, okay, bitch, well, you want to discuss it? I want to discuss too. You want to discuss? Is that what it is? You want to discuss? Oh, I want to discuss too. So I responded, I was basically like, well, there are some areas in which I would love to discuss with you as well that I am unpleased with, and yada, yada, yada. I look forward to our conversation. Just like, okay, whatever the fuck it is, bitch. So the next day comes, and she had this emergency. Apparently, her son is a drug addict, and this was another moment of him having an overdose. And this was a thing that was commonly known at the workplace because the coworker told me about it, and that explained why she came late. The boss came late that day, and we had to reschedule the meeting. So it's already kind of awkward because we had this G-chat exchange in that tone, and now I gotta have this level of sympathy for you because you have a drug addicted son. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, the following day came, and it's finally time to meet in person. I said what I said in my just disappointment in the role and how it's going because of the reasons I stated earlier. And she said what she said. Anyway, why did I bring that up? I brought that up because it just was a horrible environment. It was a horrible environment emotionally and mentally, and I felt like I was fighting for my life. And it's not being dramatic. It's not being dramatic, and it's not being just hyperbolic at all. No, it was a fucking warfare, mentally and emotionally. And one thing about me, I am mental and emotional. And I don't like to be, right? I don't choose to be that way professionally, at least. Like, I am at the very least more mental and emotional when it comes to non-work related things. But when it came to that job, oh, it was enough. It was enough. So anyway, I left the job, and I didn't have anything secured. The initial plan, because she realized I was unhappy, and we ended up agreeing to me quitting, I guess. And because she was on the same page of this is not the right environment for me. And I already said that I was not interested in being here anymore. But I think because I said it first and then she then agreed, there was no case for me to make that she fired me. And there was no case for me to make that, for me to file unemployment. I feel like that was her tactic. And I guess I fell for it. So anyway, I said what I said. Anyway, I left. But the plan was, at the end of that conversation, it ended well, I guess. But it didn't really work out the way that it ended, actually. But it ended well because she said that she would allow for me to still work here and still get paid as usual until I get my next job. So I was like, okay, bet, that's great. And I was already like, I wasn't feeling like I couldn't get another job. Like I wasn't feeling down and out or discouraged about it. I just felt like, okay, well, I'm going to get a new job in a week or two. It's going to be fine. Anyway, the next day, I think it was the next day or maybe 2 days later, she was like, so your final day is going to be this date. And it was like a couple of days, and they decided to bring on the person who was in that role that I had previously. So they brought her back, and I had to see her get reacclimated into the workplace. It was the worst professional experience that I've had to date, I would say, to date. Anyway, I fucking left that job. And I had about 2 weeks worth left of, like, okay, I had just enough for rent and a little to get by, but I think I only had enough for next month's rent and maybe the other month if I could put this piece and that piece together. But it wasn't like it wasn't planned. It wasn't planned, and it had to happen. Anyway, the point is, that ended, and the in-between time from that job to the next job, which was my last job, my most recent job, was just 2 weeks. It was just a 2-week, probably a couple of days in between, because I immediately got the job I had previously. And, I went through the whole process, the interview, all that stuff for the teaching role, and, got that job, and it just worked out. So I came into this mindset, okay, well, if I did it before, I could do it again, and it's gonna work out. And, it's not working out right now. I mean, look, it's working out. It's working out. Let me just say that, speak that. I like to joke a lot. But I don't want to keep on putting forth negative thoughts. So I've been working on that, actually. I've been listening and speaking affirmations specific to career, success, wealth, and that has been helpful. So I'm grateful for that. And just self-love too, just all of that encompassing into one. Because I guess ultimately, if you think negative thoughts, then regardless of the situation that you're in, you're not going to receive positivity, right? And that's what people are saying. I don't know. So I'm just trying to do that, try a different way, different approach. And I'm hoping that could help me just with just the minor moments where I'm just negative in my thinking, oh my gosh, am I going to get another one? Or I'm stuck, or feeling well, I guess I just go back to teaching. And, I was posed a question, well, would you go back? If push came to shove, and I didn't want to speak on that. I really don't. So we're not even going to speak on it. I'm going to put more energy and thought into what I want and not into if push comes to shove. I'm not going to speak on that. Because I'm not even gonna talk about it. But anyway, this has been the longest experience in which I am living on my own, and I'm in this space of I don't know how things are looking like, right? As when I was first in that position, it was a quick turnaround. I quickly got the next job. So this has been a longer experience of me without the job of my choosing. And, here, let me segue into the job that I do have. What is wait, what are you talking about, Betsy? So anyway, for those who may not know, I spoke about it in a previous episode, but in case you are not following it in order, I was able to land an educational consultant position, and it's at this educational firm that offers several different services. And the communication about this role was basically I would be able to demonstrate my leadership abilities, because that was the area of focus that I pounded on in my interviews. I said that I am interested in leadership position. And like I said in the last episode, when someone says that, that means they don't want to work with kids directly. That means they would rather do the back end stuff. And we talked about the hours that I would be working, at least 25 hours weekly and all these things. And since starting the position, and granted, I just started a week ago, but I am just incredibly unimpressed because nothing that we discussed is happening. And this point, it's funny, right? Nothing we discussed, nothing we agreed on is happening. In the first few days of me working, I worked significantly less than 25 hours a week. I worked about 9 hours. Like, what the fuck is this? What are we doing? Work about like 6 hours around that. And then in that time of working, quote unquote, I'm working directly with students. When the conversation was, I would work minimally with students, if anything, because they did say they will still need some support in helping directly with students in regards to the tutoring services that they provide, etc. And I was okay with that because the way she described it was just minimal. So I'm saying, okay, well, at the very least, I'll do a day of working with kids. Fine, I guess I'll fucking do it. Yet that has been the maximum experience. I've only been seeing the kids. And I'm just like, this is not what we discussed. This is not what we signed up for. So I sent an email because I said to myself, okay, before I pop off or before I say I fucking quit, let me at least give you the grace and the opportunity to explain yourself and to work with me in creating said schedule that's according to what we discussed initially. So I sent an email and I was very intentional in making sure that it was professional, respectful, and kind, as much as I can, but still straightforward and assertive. Like, these are the areas in which I'm requesting for clarity, and this is what I'm looking forward to, yada, yada, yada. So I focus on specific areas like my hours and schedule, my responsibilities and duties, and finally, my direct deposit and pay, because all those areas were the main concerns that I had. So I asked direct questions. I bullet pointed it. Like, it was digestible. Yes, it was a long email, but it was digestible. And at the very least, like, what the fuck? What else are you doing? Just fucking read my email and respond. Like, what are you doing? You know, you're not really doing anything. Like, when I've been at the office, like, niggas are walking around with flip flops. There's a golden doodle walking around. I don't think it's a golden. I think it's a poot. No, what are those white dogs with the flurry? I don't know, a poodle. Anyway, cute dog, very cute dog. But like, the point is, the environment is very laissez-faire, and very just chill. Like, what are we? Is anybody working today? Okay. So I sent an email, right? And the last one when I left y'all last, I was like, I haven't received a response. Hello. And I scheduled to have the email sent the following morning at 8 a.m. because it was the previous night when I drafted and prepared the email and sent it, or scheduled to send it, the following morning. So me sending it directly to said person at 8 a.m. was for the intent to at least receive a response by noon. Because I understand it's a lot to digest, and you probably want to make sure your response is clear and efficient. Yet, I didn't get a response at all that day. It took the next day, so 2 days, or a day and a half, actually, for her to finally fucking respond and say, here's what she said, y'all. She was just like, let's meet in person to make sure we're both on the same page. And she said, let's meet with the director. So in my head, I'm like, okay, she's trying to, like, I don't know, like, immediately I'm on the fence. I'm like, why sure, we could meet with the director, that's fine. But I specifically, and mind you, she CC'd the director onto the email. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, okay, cool, let's meet at this time and discuss this. This sounds like a good plan, fine, even though I don't feel like it's a good plan, because why can't you just fucking respond to my email and then we could further discuss in person if I still have more questions? You know what I mean? Like, at the very least, respond to my questions in the email that I've sent you a day and a half ago. Respond to that email first before we meet. That's why it's important to leave a trail. That's how I always look at things, like leave a trail online or in the email before meeting in person, because in meeting in person, it's not like the meeting is being recorded. It's not like you're, writing everything down word for word, or there's a witness on your end who could help you to better digest X, Y, and Z. No, like with emails, you have a record following you. So in case you didn't say what I thought you said, or you said something and you trying to act like you didn't, is in the email. The proof is in the pudding. Anyway, at the time of this recording, the following day will be said meeting, and I will give you guys an update, of course, as I've been doing, which has been fun. My life has been fun. My professional life has been fun. No, I mean, I'll keep you guys abreast and see how that goes, because at this point, like, what are we talking about? Should I just print the email out and be like, yeah, this was the first area of concern and clarity that I'm asking for. This is the second area. Or do you, I don't know. At the very least, I will refer back to my email. I'll have it on my phone, propped and ready to go. And honestly, how I'm feeling about that job, I just hate the poor communication. I hate the lack of professionalism. I hate the lack of leadership. I hate the fact that just starting off, I'm realizing that we're not doing anything that we agreed for me to do in my role. And at the very least, if I'm working a position that is not aligned with the initial agreed upon duties and responsibilities for me, at the very least, give me enough hours to make a living, right? Give me enough hours that isn't laughable, right? You know what I mean? At the very least, give me 25 to 30 hours weekly so that I could say, you know what, let me just stack up some money and then make a way out, but you can't even give me that. So anyway, I'll keep y'all abreast. I feel like I'm gonna quit. I really do. I want to be respectful, but I'm pissed. I'm annoyed. I just feel like you're wasting my time. You take forever to respond. You prolong for us to meet. Mind you, she responded on a Friday. It's a long weekend. And so I was the one to request for Tuesday for us to meet. So at the time that you're listening to this episode, if you're listening to this episode on time, I would have had the meeting. Anyway, so I was the one to request a date after she said, hey, let's meet in person. When are you available next week? And so, all these things that it feels just so prolonged. Everything's just been feeling like a long ass journey. And I think this is a metaphor to this job hunting experience. Okay, well, let's move on from this topic. I'm done with this conversation for now. Let's talk about why people shouldn't adopt big ass dogs anymore as pets. Okay? There is no reason why you should have a fucking mastiff as your pet dog. Are you insane? Why do you have a mastiff? Mind you, there are several dogs like this that are not suitable to be household dogs. There's I'm gonna pull it up real quick because there's more dogs that are similar to this type of dog that is just not appropriate for pet dogs. So hold on, let me see if I can find it. Anyway, Pitbulls, all these big ass dogs. Why the fuck do you have this dog? Dog. Okay, I can't find it right now. But anyway, so that's an example, right? So there is this recent horrible story, because these dumbass parents want to have this big ass dangerous dog that's only supposed to be for fighting. There are specific dogs that are for fighting. They are literally bred to fight. They were created to fight. Pitbulls. I know people like to say, "Oh, pitbulls get a bad rap, and they're stereotyped to be just dangerous dogs," because they are. Like, that's why. Because they are. Like, what are we talking about? Because they are. That's why. It's not a stereotype. We're not being discriminatory and racist towards a pit bull. No, pit bulls don't deserve to be in the house with toddler-ass kids. Shit. Never mind a full adult. Because even with full adults, you shouldn't have a pit bull in the house. Like, whatever happened to dog houses? Keep your dog outside. Particularly if your dog is a pit bull. Why is your pit bull on your bed sleeping with you? Are you on drugs? I feel like if you have a golden doodle, if you have a labradoodle, if you have those like generally nice dogs that weren't created to kill and attack and bury people and anything that comes their way, then they can stay in the house. Don't sleep on the bed though, but they can stay in the house. But if you have a mastiff, if you have a bulldog, if you have a pit bull, if you have any of those type of dangerous dogs that were bred to kill and attack, they need to be outside your house, not next to your 3-year-old child, like who's trying to figure out if you're gonna feed him applesauce. So a Tennessee mother of 2 is now in stable condition with stitches and bite marks over her entire body after attempting to intervene when this bitch had 2 pit bulls. When her 2 pit bulls mauled her toddlers to death. I don't know y'all heard. Did you hear me? Is the mic on? Hello? I said a Tennessee mother of 2 is now in stable condition with stitches and bite marks over her entire body after attempting to intervene when her 2 pit bulls mauled her toddlers to death. She should be in jail. I get it. She's in stable condition and she barely survived herself, but her ass should be in jail. And the father. Because what type of dumbass parent think it's a good idea to have not 1, but 2 pit bulls in the house with toddlers? Are you on drugs? I've seen, there's this YouTuber I follow, whose account I look at. And she had this dog with her like for years. This dog is probably 15 years old. And I've seen this dog on her page for the whole time of her having this, for the whole duration of her having this channel, for the whole duration of her being an influencer. And just recently, like a year or 2 ago, she had her first child, and she and her husband decided it was best for them to give up the dog. And the dog wasn't this like, a mastiff or a pit bull. The dog was actually a Chihuahua. Very young, but can't do much harm. But she decided to leave the dog with another home, to rehome the dog, because she was realizing she was, of course, putting more energy towards her human child than her dog baby. And to each their own, right? I know people have a lot of judgment when it comes to rehoming and giving up your child, but do what's best for your family. At the very least, who are you? It brings us back to that conversation about Harambe and that baby, the human baby. Oh, but you shouldn't have killed Harambe. Harambe is a predator. Literally, it's in his nature, and I get it. We like to think these animals are our friends. We like to think, oh, well, I've been petting the dog every day at this time, and I feed her on time consistently. She would never do anything to harm me. She's a dog. He's a gorilla. It's literally in their nature. They have to do. It's who they are. So to make yourself be this dumb, naive, gullible pet owner and thinking that your human dumb ass have enough wherewithal to think I am safe in the company of 2 pit bulls with my toddler children, and now they're dead. They died a nasty death because their 2 pit bull pets ate them, bit them alive, well, dead, bit them dead. Now God rest their souls. And it's just so terrible because damn, not just one, not just, but the point is, like, it wasn't only one kid, it was all their kids. It was the whole, and I'm not even like your whole lineage gone. Because your ass decided it was a good idea to have 2 pit bulls as pets. Whole lineage gone. What? And these toddlers were 2. I can't. Let me keep on reading. It's so devastating. It's devastating. It's so silly. It could have been prevented. Like, and mind you, I'm sure these 2 pit bulls demonstrated aggressive behavior prior to this moment. I'm sure this wasn't a complete and total and utter surprise. Kirsty Jane Bernard, 30 years old, was severely injured by the dogs when she tried to pull them off of her 5-month-old boy and 2-year-old girl just outside of their home in Shelby County, Tennessee. Both kids dead. Mauled to death by their 2 pit bulls. Both parents need to go to jail. These babies are gone. It's so sad. These babies are gone now. And they're so cute. I'm looking at the article right now. Yeah, they're, imagine dying that way. Hey, Bernard's condition is reportedly, now she could be stable, but her 2 baby ass kids are dead. But the mother has an unaccountable amount of stitches and bite marks over her entire body, including her face. While details of how the attack unfolded and why the pets became aggressive remain unclear. What provoked the pit bull to react this way? It's a pit bull. They can just wake up and realize, hey, I'm a fucking pit bull. I can just attack you right now. Do you know who I am? Like, I'm done with this household shit. I was born to kill. I was born to kill. I was born to attack. I was born to maul. That was literally in my nature. When they bred me, when they bred my ancestors, this is how I came to be. Are y'all out of your minds? Yo, lock up the whole family. The whole family. I mean, this could be a ritual too. We could go there. We could go there with the conversation. They could have ritually set this up. Sacrifice. Child, just devastating. Okay. I have decided to let shit go. Okay? Whatever do you mean, Maxine? A couple of days ago, I just had an epiphany. I just had a moment of realization that I was holding on to grudges from past, and I'm just being specific to past friendships, or just moments within a friendship that I held on to that really upset me. It manifested in ways where, okay, I blocked that person, or, they can't have access to my social media, or you're never gonna hear, like, I don't know. I just was carrying a lot of weight mentally. And I remember, I will always recite a particular scene of me and a former friend. And I will recite it in my mind. And I will say, oh, I'm happy I said this, or I'm happy I said that, or man, I should have said this, oh man, I should have said that, or ooh, just wait till I see her again. And it's like, what? I don't know. I just had a realization that this is not healthy. Like, who the fuck is reciting scenarios that's already happened? Who the fuck is creating scenarios of things that you would like to happen so that you could finally say this the way that you've been practicing to say? Like, who's practicing lines? And I just, I also realized that I don't like to hold on to grudges. I do it because, or I've done it, I'm not doing it anymore, but I've done it because it just was like the natural thing to do. You get mad at someone, you hold a grudge, right? We have an argument, I won't talk to you for the next few days or until whenever I want to. And it'll be a long ass time until we finally rekindle. And it's not to say that just because I am deciding to let shit go, doesn't mean that I am trying to rekindle any forgotten friendship. It's not that. It's just, I'm just letting the hurt go. Like, I just decided to, like, you know what? Like, let me just let this off my shoulder. Like, let it go. Like, it's not that serious anymore. Time has passed. There's no reason to still be angry. And you know what also, like, pushed me to get to this point was also recognizing the strong possibility that said persons have moved on, like has greatly moved on with their lives, and I'm over here still reciting scenarios. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, and I also realized, like, I'm really lovely. Like, I'm really a lovely person. I really love to be lovely. I really love good vibes. I really love good conversations. Like, I don't thrive off of gossip. I really don't. Like, I'm not that girl. And I used to have this colleague who every time he would speak, it was always some gossiping shit. It was always something about somebody else. It was always his way of trying to connect with people by gossiping. And I remember how I felt every time he would bring up a conversation about somebody else. To me, I just felt so low, like very low vibration. Not to sound woo-woo, low vibrational, but dead ass, I felt so low vibrational because it's a low thing to do. If you spend so much time invested in negative shit, it weighs on you. And that's not who I am naturally. Like, I'm not this negative wayer. Like, I like to laugh. I like to have fun. I like to connect with people. I like to be positive. I like to think positively. Even though sometimes I struggle with that, I know that whenever someone comes, like, I know for sure, sometimes we struggle with, like, accepting our own advice that we give to other people. Like, oh, just be positive, think light about yourself, speak life, all these things. It's hard for us to do it, like, ourselves. But I know that whenever someone comes to me and they're down and out, I see it as a great opportunity to lift that person up. I'm never going to make you feel bad. Like, oh yeah, well, you should never done that, you dumbass. Like, I'm never gonna lecture you. And so, like, when I received that from that family member, I felt so low, and I'm like, dang, I don't like this low ass feeling. And I know that that's not who I am naturally. I like to lift people up. I like to make sure that whenever you're feeling some insecurity, I'm making you recognize all the highlights in your personality, all the highlights in your character. And I just like that. And so anyway, I say that to say, when I've been just still holding on to past grudges, I was realizing, like, this is an oxymoron to who I am. Like, I'm love. Hello? I am love. I am someone who thrives off of love, and I am more just enthralled in love, and like, I like love, like all these, like, I like these good feelings, and this is not in conjunction with that. Holding on to shit, holding on to past grudges and hurt is not in conjunction with who I am. So I decided to unblock people. I had a list of people on my Instagram. I was like, block, over the years. And I'm like, well, some of them were like fake accounts, but some of them were, a lot of them were real accounts. Anyway, I decided to unblock them. I decided to unhide them from my stories. And I put a post on my Instagram story. I was like, if you're seeing my story for the first time in a while, that means I decided to unblock you and not have you live rent-free in my mind. yes. Like, no, I really mean that. Like, no, like, I don't wish you any ill will anymore. I've let it go. I'm fine. And before I used to always say on this podcast, the door is closed. The door is open. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm swiftly walking through in entertaining a rekindle of our friendship. It doesn't mean that. It just means that we could have a civil conversation. We could move forward. Like, I could be in your company and you could be in my company. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, like, whatever happened between us is not going to dictate who I am today. It's not going to make me feel shitty about my character or my personality. Like, it's like, okay, whatever. It was then. This is now. I'm good. I'm gonna have a good time. This is not going to affect me. And I was realizing for a while that things that I've carried were affecting me. So it just feels good to just let shit go. Like, I just made the executive decision to let shit go. Like, just let it go, dog. Like, that's not who you are. Like, it's not who you are. We get so caught up in such low vibrational energy that we forget who we are. Like, we're not, at least, unless you're Dahmer, but like, you're not angry, right? You're not this ball of depression. You're not these things. And when we hold on to hurt, we become these things, and we tend to think that that's our identity. And that's not the case. Like, you could be hurt by a failed friendship. Okay, you're hurt, move on. Okay, like, feel it and then move on. And I was holding on to that feeling for too long, and I let it go. So the door is open. If you're listening to this and we've had a fallout, the door is open. I've unblocked you. Let's see. Let's see where things go. Anyway, it's all love. Like, I'm going to operate off of love more moving forward. Just love. Now, it doesn't mean, and I think sometimes, people like to think, oh, that means no, it doesn't mean you're a doormat. It doesn't mean that, you could walk out at all. Like, I recognize more of my worth in doing this new step. But it just means that my heart is open. Like, I'm not going to allow past hurt make me ball into this ball of depression. Like, it's not cool, man. It's not cool. So we're moving forward. Like, we're really moving forward. But I feel good. And regardless of whatever friendship come my way that may get rekindled, I know that I am love. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, I'm love. Like, I'm not going into anything or looking at people with this, like, and and this, and me saying this is also just, I'm still okay with the ending of said friendships, right? It's just the carrying of that hurt, I finally let go. So anyway, I hope all that made sense. Okay, so let's wrap up with a couple of things. Okay, so let's talk about this rapper named Erica Banks. She's known for that song during the pandemic when people did the Bust It challenge. Bust It. Did you fucking do that? Bust it. I don't know. Something like that. And people would like suddenly change into a different outfit in the challenge, and it demonstrates them busting it. And I guess bust it means like show yourself. Like, ooh, like show you're that girl or that nigga, whatever. So anyway, her name is Erica Banks. She's actually from Texas. I think she's from Dallas. But she's from Texas, and she has recently shared on her Instagram platform that whoever is going out with her to the club, like any girlfriends that's going out with her to the club, has to look a certain aesthetic. They have to look this aesthetic of BBLs, their hair, and must look tight and right. Like, it has to have like a weave or a wig, a lace front type of aesthetic. Excuse me. Their dress has to just be designer goods and just like on point when it comes to like luxurious style of wardrobe. They also have to not be skinny. They have to, and that's why I said BBLs earlier. Like, they have to have that BBL body figure. And she just says that is the criteria for her girlfriends whenever they come with her, whenever they accompany her to the club. And it just really speaks to the time that we're in, of just pure, just fakeness, just pure foolery. There's such a push to be even more unnatural, even more disgusted with your natural self, and looking like everybody else. I remember these twins from the show Bad Girls Club, and the twins go by the Claremont twins. So the Claremont twins, when they were on the show, they looked natural, and they were both skinny and just had a naturally beautiful face. But they were on the show because they were just still bad girls, and they would fight and argue and get into brawls, whatever. Since that show, they discovered the world of influencing, started making money by just being a hustler in that sense, and they fell victim to plastic surgery, excessive, just repulsive plastic surgery. Their faces now, y'all, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's inflamed. And they have lip injections. Imagine, these are two black girls. They're twins. They're black girls. They're actually half Haitian. I think their father's Haitian. And the way that they look, y'all, is actually terrifying. Like, imagine waking up to that in the morning. Like, their face is like this. You know how there's this specific particular look that people with excessive plastic surgery have in their face. Like, it looks like this square like face, and everything feels hard and swollen. Their lips is too big. Their cheeks are, like, everything just looks swollen and like a puff doll face, yet it's supposed to look cute. It's supposed to be the cute look. Anyway, they both look the same, just stupid. And if you look at their face before to now, it's just totally different. Like, you wouldn't even think these were the same girls. And of course, not just their faces done, but their bodies are done too. They both have this skinny girl BBL, and actually they're thicker now. So they have a thick girl BBL. It's not like too thick, but it's thicker. It's thicker than they once were. And it's just outrageous because you see their waist is like a Barbie doll waist. And then this huge hip and butt. It just looks sick. It looks very sick. Yet they really think they're the shit. Like, they really look like they're that girl. And I look at many women who have followed this same aesthetic, this same procedure. They go to the same doctors probably and just go about the surgery in the same way. And this is the aesthetic that basically rapper Erica Banks is saying is the only aesthetic that is acceptable for her for when she goes to the club with her girlfriends. And it's just like, I think at the very end of the day, it's just sad. Like, all these girls are fake. All of these girls are fake. Okay, most of them. But they're fake, and they're like just not at all happy with how they were. And they felt like they had to change their body, and then they continue to change their body, and then they continue, like, it never ends. And I just, I pity them. I feel bad for the younger generation of girls who have to see this as an example. Like, when I was growing up, I didn't see too many girls looking like this and falling victim to the BBL trend. Like, that BBL wasn't even a term back when I was growing up. So I just imagine growing up in this time as a young girl, and I'm seeing that the aesthetic and the standard of beauty is BBL. Immediately change your body, because as you are is not enough. It's disgusting. You don't fit the aesthetic and you don't look good. So I just, and just seeing her say this too is just funny, because she actually had a BBL herself. She got work done. She's vocal about it. And she is just so proud of the fact that she got work done. And she wants to make sure that whoever is with her looks the same way as her. And the look that she's going for is this fake, completely fabricated, just aesthetic. This Barbie doll aesthetic. And it's one thing. Here's the thing, though. Like, I get the whole, like, wanting to follow a dress code. Right? Like, I remember being in college, me and my roommate, we will always like check in with each other. Oh, what are you gonna wear tonight? Like, are we both doing a dress? Are we gonna do mini skirts? Like, we want to match each other's fly. But that was then, right? Like, that was just how, like, that just was the culture, because just aesthetically, you want to look like we're both going to the same place, right? I don't want to look like I'm about to go to the gym while my friend is looking like she's about to go to the club. Like, which one is it? But that's not an issue. You know what I mean? Like, sure, match the dress code. But now the dress code is to completely go under the knife. The dress code is to look totally different than who you are. That's the dress code. Can you match that? Like, that is the dress code. That is what you should be following. That's what it is now. It's not as it was before growing up, the natural way of, oh, girl, I'm going to wear this dress. You should wear that dress too. That was what it was when following and matching each other's fly and going to a specific spot. But now, when a rapper like Erykah Banks is saying such rhetoric, it's really about looking this fake part. It's about looking like this Barbie doll. It's about shaming your natural self. It's about not being comfortable in who you were before all of this plastic surgery and cosmetic surgery. Ciao. It's sick. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. I will check in with you guys next time. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. And be sure to check out our YouTube channel at God Built This Podcast and support me there as well. Check out Patreon content to get exclusive episodes. And I will check in with you guys next time. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. Be sure to leave a review, give me 5 stars, and of course, subscribe. Also, follow God Built This Podcast on Instagram at God Built This Pod. God bless.